Jay Vardy.
Jay Vardy.
This Jay Vardy.
Jay Vardy. Thank you, Jay Vardy.
Jay Vardy.
Jay Vardy. Oh, Jay Vardy. Oh my gosh.
Hello everybody, I'm Jay Vardy. Welcome to this video. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the final dates for John Cena's retirement tour. John Cena's retirement tour is quickly coming to an end. Of course, his final match has been announced at Saturday night's main event in Washington, D.C. on December 13th. And we already know that on October 11th at Crown Jewel in Australia, he'll be taking on AJ Styles. That we know, his retirement tour is quickly coming to an end here. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through how I would book these final dates from Crown Jewel all the way to Saturday night's main event, and how I would book the final run here for John Cena, because we're now in the final act, sort of say. We're in the third act of the retirement tour here. And sooner rather than later, we will be saying goodbye to John Cena as a WWE superstar as he transitions fully to Hollywood and fully to acting. And every appearance he makes in WWE following Saturday night's main event will not be as an active member of the roster, but as a guest. And he said at the beginning of this tour that every appearance he will make following his retirement, he will be in a suit and a tie, and he will be there as a guest, not as an official member of the roster. So I would like to take you through the way I would book these final dates for John Cena's final run as a superstar in WWE. I have uploaded a video already to the channel of this same idea, but rapid fire in less than 5.5 minutes. The video is 5 minutes and 30 seconds long. This video is going to be longer, and I did want to sit down and have a full-on discussion about this because this is one of the biggest names in WWE history we're talking to. His career is coming to an end, and I figured this deserved a full-on discussion. But I do know that shorter videos do bigger numbers, and shorter videos are more likely to attract an audience. That's why I did the rapid-fire video. If you're not interested in listening to me rant for 30 minutes to 60 minutes, because this video is probably going to be anywhere between half hour long and 1 hour in length, there is the short version video up on the channel now where you can just get all the information of how I would book this very quickly with little to no explanation in 5 minutes and 30 seconds. This video is going to be taking a deep dive onto that. So if you've already watched that video, this video is a deep dive and full-on discussion and, giving explanation to the rationale behind those decisions. But if you haven't watched that video yet, but you do not want to sit through the entire discussion of this and you just want to see how I would book them, you have the 5 minute and 30-second video up on the channel already, and there will be a link to that video in the description of this video and the pinned comment of this video as well. So there you go. That said, I want to discuss how I would book the remainder of John Cena's retirement tour. 2 notes before I flip to the first slide, which will obviously be Crown Jewel. I want to add 2 notes. The first being Survivor Series. I would not have Survivor Series be Survivor Series War Games. And there seems to be, a lot of information online assuming that Survivor Series is War Games. But when I see the WWE, right now I believe they're calling it just Survivor Series on their official site. I don't believe it's called Survivor Series War Games on its official site. I may be wrong about that, but I did check not too long ago and it was just listed as Survivor Series. But everywhere else assumes that it's War Games. I'm going to say this. I would have Survivor Series be just Survivor Series and have John Cena's match at it be a traditional Survivor Series tag team match, which is a 10-man 5 versus 5 elimination style tag team match. That's what I would do. I would not do War Games. War Games has been done 3 years in a row now, and to me, the War Games match is not a very interesting match, firstly. We've had it done 3 years in a row now. I don't think we need it for a 4th year in a row. In fact, taking a year off from War Games can make War Games feel more special next year. And for all those people who are going to say, well, I want to see John Cena in a War Games match. Realistically, how that will be booked is he will be the last man to enter the War Games match, and you'll get maybe like 6, 7, or 8 minutes of John Cena in the War Games. And trust me, you can do a lot more interesting things in the traditional Survivor Series tag team match than you can do in a War Games match. The War Games match is ultimately going to be very boring because either way, you're going to basically most likely have Team Cena versus Team Lesnar. The whole point of doing Team Cena versus Team Lesnar for me is that you want to see John Cena conquer the Beast finally in that match. But in saying that, I don't think John Cena should win at Survivor Series. I think he should ultimately lose, and I think he should give someone a rub at Survivor Series. How can you accomplish both of those things in one match? Well, you make it a Survivor Series elimination match, not a War Games match, because War Games is not elimination style. And could you make War Games elimination style? Sure, but then the War Games match is going to be like an hour long, or like maybe even longer than an hour long. And do we really want to sit through that do we really want to sit through a War Games match for over an hour? And what happens if John Cena gets injured in that match? Is he going to be able to go at Saturday night's main event? To me, it should just be a Survivor Series match because you can accomplish two things at once. One, you can have Cena conquer the Beast, and you can have Cena give the rub to someone who needs the rub and have someone go over him in his final PLE match. So those are the two major reasons why I would change it or have it be announced that it is just a Survivor Series traditional match rather than a War Games match. The second note I want to make is between Survivor Series and Saturday night's main event, I would add one more date on December 8th Raw for Cena to have a final Raw appearance on December 8th before Saturday night's main event. And I'll get to why, but they would have to basically sign John on for one more date to have him appear on Raw on December 8th to build up to Saturday night's main event and have it his final Raw appearance ever. I think they could probably talk him into it. I don't see why he would be opposed to doing one more date between Survivor Series and Saturday night's main event. Even if he has a schedule, I mean, he can easily clear one evening to do one final Raw appearance. I really don't think whatever his other schedules would have would be opposed to that. So that's not a huge issue. And obviously, in terms of money, like they could just throw in like, I don't know, $100,000 to do one more Raw. I'm sure that would be way more than enough to convince Cena to do it. And what my idea is for that Raw would really make Cena want to do it. And we'll discuss that as we go, but obviously we're going to start this by talking about Crown Jewel on October 11th in Australia, Cena versus AJ Styles. So the first of these appearances is Crown Jewel in Australia, where he will be taking on AJ Styles, John Cena and AJ Styles for the final time. If I am correct, I believe they have a tied record versus one another. I think the exact record is 2-2. Styles has 2 wins. Cena has 2 wins. It might be 3-3. I don't really know the exact number. I believe it's 2-2. I believe it's 2-2. I actually really wasn't watching WWE very much when AJ Styles was coming into the company at first, and when he had his first set of matches with John Cena. That was during kind of my exodus as a fan where I wasn't watching like at all. That was during a time where I wasn't even watching WrestleMania. I was watching WWE like long before that. Like I should specify that this was my exodus as a fan. Not before I was a fan. Believe me, I've been a fan for a long, long time. I've been a fan before John Cena was even in the WWE. He was in OVW when I became a fan. So there is that. But AJ Styles, like I knew of him from TNA originally, like way back in TNA, rather than I wasn't really a fan of wrestling at the time he first came into WWE. Anyways, we don't need to rant about that. The point is, I don't know the exact stat because I actually wasn't really watching when they had their first set of matches. So there is that. But I do believe they are tied, and at Crown Jewel, we will have, I guess, the winner of this rivalry. I don't really think they're going to make too big of a deal out of that, to be completely honest, nor do I think they should. I think this match is taking place kind of for a couple reasons, in my opinion. The way I look at it is, one, they needed to throw a match together without any build up. So the easiest way to do that which is basically how they did it, which is have Cena challenge his opponent on Twitter and challenge the WWE to make the match, which is how they did this. But you can only do that with someone he's wrestled before, right? Because like he can like you can reflect on the history between them. And two, I think they're giving John Cena a very safe and very easy opponent because the last thing they need is John Cena getting injured in a match at Crown Jewel before Survivor Series and Saturday night's main event. That's the absolute last thing they need. So they're putting him in there with probably the most safe worker you could possibly put him in there with in AJ Styles. And three, it's just an easy match to put together, right? It's just those two things put together, really. This is a match against an opponent he has history with. It's a match against an opponent that's extremely safe in the ring. And you might as well settle the score between them. Like I said, I don't think they're going to make a huge deal out of that, but you might as well settle the score out of them. Here's how I'm going to put my spin on this, because obviously this isn't me booking this match. This match is booked already. It's been announced for a couple weeks now. So this isn't me booking this match, but here's how I would put my spin on it. Say if I became head of creative tomorrow. I would have this match be the main event of Crown Jewel. I wouldn't have it open the match. I wouldn't have it in the middle of the card. I would have this match be the main event. Make a really big deal out of this being John Cena's last one-on-one singles match at a PLE. Make a big deal out of it being John Cena's last appearance in Australia. Make a big deal out of it being the last Cena and Styles collision. Put it in the main event. Don't put it in the middle of the card. Don't put it in as the opening match like they did with Cena and Lesnar at WrestlePalooza. Don't do any of that. Put it as the main event. No one cares about the Crown Jewel titles. Put this as the main event. And then have Cena win the match and he celebrates his 100th PLE victory. This is really simple. A main event where Cena goes over AJ Styles. They shake hands. They hug. AJ raises Cena's hand. For long-term fans, this is WWE versus TNA. For more contemporary fans, this is the last Cena-Styles collision. And for all of us, this is John Cena's 100th career PLE victory or pay-per-view victory or pay-per-view/PLE victory, right? Cena celebrates in the ring. Styles gives Cena the ring, which means Styles leaves the ring to allow Cena to have the ring to celebrate. Cena celebrating his 100th victory. You can put graphics up. You can have pyro go off, whatever. And to end the show, you have Lesnar come out, attack Cena. I wouldn't have Lesnar's music hit and have him walk out like they did at SummerSlam. I would just have Lesnar jump the barricade, get in the ring, attack Cena, deliver a couple F5s, grab the mic. Cena's knocked out flat on the ring. Lesnar gets down on his level. He sarcastically congratulates him on his 100th PLE victory. He says he will not get to 101 PLE victories because at Survivor Series, it's going to be Team Lesnar versus Team Cena in a traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series tag team match. And Lesnar will right then and there announce his team, which is going to consist of Logan Paul and The Vision, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. Lesnar says, it's me, Logan Paul, and The Vision, Reed, Breaker, Rollins versus you and 4 teammates, if you can find 4 teammates brave enough to take us on at Survivor Series, etc., etc. And the show ends with Lesnar standing tall over a beaten down Cena. It's Team Cena versus Team Lesnar at Survivor Series. Cena's final chance to conquer the Beast. This is how we end Crown Jewel. There's a good load of build-up for Survivor Series already. And then we will see Cena again in November. The next time we will see John Cena will actually be in his home state of Massachusetts when he appears on November 10th. And this Raw, I would have Cena recruit the first 2 members of his team to take on Team Lesnar with The Vision and Logan Paul at Survivor Series. And again, I'm making that a 10-man elimination tag team match, which I'll talk about more at Survivor Series and how I would do it and why I would do it that way rather than a War Games match. But for this Raw, I would essentially have Cena recruit his first two members, and they will of course be former rivals and former opponents of him, who are now friends of his, obviously both in storyline and real life, and that being CM Punk and Sheamus. Now, a lot of people are going to throw out ideas of, Cody Rhodes teaming up with him, Roman Reigns teaming up with him, Randy Orton especially people will want to see on this team. I wouldn't have any of those guys in this match, to be honest, because first of all, you don't need them in this match. Second of all, why have those guys in this match to be at the same level as Cena? Cena should be the biggest star on his team by a large mile. The only one who's really going to be near his level is CM Punk. And the only reason I'm having Punk on his team is more to continue the Punk-Rollins feud, right? Heading into how I would end the year. That's not this video. That's going to be the next video. But I also wouldn't have Orton on this team or Cody on this team, because I think at Survivor Series it should be Cody versus Drew versus Randy for the WWE title in a triple threat match. So that takes Cody and Randy away from availability at all. And you can have Roman Reigns on Cena's team. You can do that. But I think it's unnecessary. I think you could do something else with Roman at Survivor Series. You don't need to have Cena team up with all those guys. You just need to have him team up with people he would ask based on who he has faced in real life. And my team on this night, he recruits CM Punk and he recruits Sheamus. Two guys he's wrestled for the WWE title on multiple occasions, two guys who he's defeated, two guys who has defeated him, and two pretty big names, right? You add Sheamus and Punk as the first two members of the team, and you go from there. If you want to have John Cena wrestle his last match in his home state on this night, you can have him wrestle Bronson Reed. And you might as well have Cena go over Bronson Reed and get a big victory in the main event of Raw that night. So on this show, Cena recruits Sheamus and CM Punk, and he wrestles Bronson Reed in the main event, and he gets the win in that match. The next time we see John Cena will be at the next Raw, which will be taking place in New York City. It'll be John Cena's last time in Madison Square Garden, and he will, of course, recruit the final two members of his team, which I have being The Miz and R-Truth. You can play into the Cena versus Truth earlier in the year, Cena's involvement in having R-Truth brought back to the company from a real life perspective, from the R-Truth getting fired controversy that should have never taken place. You can play on, their historic rivalry within the company. You can play on R-Truth's comedy, referring to himself as a lifelong fan since childhood of John Cena, his childhood hero being John Cena, his older brother being John Cena, etc. And The Miz, obviously, John Cena wrestled The Miz at WrestleMania on multiple occasions, the main event of WrestleMania 27, and of course when he and Nikki Bella teamed up to take on The Miz and Maurice. So it's also the reuniting of The Miz and R-Truth. And I know Miz is doing other things right now in the company, but he hasn't had a lot of interaction with Cena during this retirement tour, and they've given pretty much everyone else with the history with Cena something to do with him in this retirement tour. So I think you bring in Miz for this, and that would make Cena's team be John Cena, CM Punk, Sheamus, The Miz, and R-Truth to take on Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Logan Paul at Survivor Series in the 10-man elimination tag team match. I think that's great. Again, with Roman Reigns, I have him doing something else at Survivor Series. That's another video. For Cody and Randy, I have them and Drew McIntyre in a triple threat match for the title at Survivor Series. That way, there's explanations as to why those guys aren't available, because they're doing other things at Survivor Series, and they're not needed anyways. Most of those guys have already had interactions with Cena on his retirement tour. You don't need to add more. You've already done Cena and Randy. You've already done Cena and Cody. You don't need to do any more than that. But yeah, I think this is a good team. I think this is a good team for Cena. Punk, Sheamus, Miz, and R-Truth. And to close this Raw, you can have Cena versus Braun Breaker. He wrestled Bronson Reed the week before. This week he can wrestle Braun Breaker. I would not have a finish to this match. I would have obviously the Vision come out to beat down Cena, so I guess Cena wins by disqualification. But then his completed team comes out, Lesnar and Paul come out, and it's a big, brawl. Team Cena gets to stand tall, and we see the 5 versus 5. And there you go. Your Survivor Series match is set, and the next time we see John Cena will be at Survivor Series. So at Survivor Series in San Diego, it will be, as I've said multiple times now, Team Cena versus Team Lesnar. It'll be Brock Lesnar, Logan Paul, Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins, and Bronson Reed versus John Cena, CM Punk, Sheamus, The Miz, and R-Truth in a traditional 10-man elimination tag. And I'm going to discuss more as to why I feel it should be a traditional tag team match rather than a War Games match. I don't think this should be a War Games match. To me, the War Games match is, from a watching standpoint, is very uninteresting because I don't think the storytelling in a War Games match would work for this situation, because for me, for War Games to really work as a story in terms of psychology of telling a story within a match, you need to have deep bad blood hatred between the two teams with lots of buildup. Like last year, we saw the original Bloodline basically come back together to take on what was the new Bloodline at the time. And to be completely honest, even that, which had a lot of story built into it technically, it felt like there wasn't enough bad blood between the teams yet for that match to truly work. And the match, while it told a great story within the match itself, I felt the build up to it didn't really work. There wasn't that hatred that I feel is needed for a War Games match to exist. And if that match had that feeling, this will be that like times 10. The only two that you could really claim that hate each other deeply would be Cena and Lesnar, but Cena's not on TV enough to really convey that leading up to Survivor Series, and it would revolve around history between them, right? So I guess Punk and Rollins could really, take up that hatred of one another for the War Games aspect of it and really focus on that as the big build-up, but they're not the focus of the match, right? Like the focus of the match is Cena, so like you can't build it just between Punk and Rollins. You have to kind of build it up. This is John Cena's last PLE match. Like he's the focus. It's so much easier to do that in a traditional Survivor Series match rather than a War Games match. War Games really revolves around these teams hate each other, and this team is teaming up because they hate all the other guys on the other side, and this team on this side is teaming up because they really hate all the other guys on the other side, and there are natural reasons why these are teams. And in terms of Cena's team, it's like, I have history with all of you, I need your help. That's so much easier and viable to convince them that for a traditional match rather than a War Games match, because in storyline these guys might say, like, I don't want to step into War Games with Brock Lesnar. Like, that wouldn't make sense. I don't want to step into War Games with Braun Breaker. Like, that makes sense, right? Like, why would they, even if it's John Cena's last match? But a traditional Survivor Series match is like, yeah, I'll help you. You're my brother, I will help you. It's just so much more viable. But on top of that, storytelling wise, you can do so much more in an elimination match than you can in a War Games match. In a War Games match, the match can't end until everyone's in the ring, right? So it's literally they're just fighting out of hatred, which doesn't really exist in this match. It would be very phony. You know what I mean? In terms of sporting, in terms of them wrestling in a traditional match, it just makes a lot more sense. But in the biggest thing story wise in a War Games match is entering the ring. Like, that's the big moment, right? Like, who's entering the ring next? It's like the Royal Rumble in that sense. It's like, who's coming out to the ring next? Like, that's like the big story moments of the match, and how like the story of the match unfolds by who comes into the ring next and what they do once they get in there. In an elimination traditional match, the story becomes who gets eliminated first, who gets eliminated second, who gets eliminated next. And like, the match naturally unfolds in a better way, right? Like if let's say it becomes 5-on-4 and then 5-on-3 and then 4-on-3 and then 4-on-2, and then one team constantly has the advantage, it gives a more natural story of one team is the underdog here and they're fighting for survival, which is the whole point of Survivor Series. And I just think the match, like I said before on an earlier slide in this video, to me there's two goals for Cena's last match at Survivor Series, especially if it's Team Cena versus Team Lesnar, which it looks like it's going to be. Number one, you want to see Cena finally conquer the Beast. But two, I think John Cena needs to lose his last PLE match. I think he needs to give someone a rub. You can't accomplish both those things in a War Games match. It's impossible. You can't have Cena overcome Brock Lesnar in a War Games match but also lose. That's not how War Games matches work. They're not elimination. It's the first team to score a victory wins the match once everybody's in the ring. How can Cena conquer Lesnar but also give someone a rub in that type of match? You can't unless you make it elimination. But if you make it elimination, the War Games match is now going to be like an hour long. And ultimately, I don't think would be a very good or very exciting match. But in a traditional Survivor Series match, you can have Cena conquer Lesnar. You can have Cena tap out Lesnar to the STF, which would be an incredible moment. If John Cena made Brock Lesnar tap to the STF, that would put an incredible bow on their rivalry and John Cena's journey to finally conquering the Beast, his career-long journey of conquering the Beast. But the match doesn't need to end there because he can give someone a rub after, and then you accomplish two things. You can give John Cena that moment of going over Lesnar, of tapping Lesnar out, of celebrating with the audience, and then he can give someone the rub, someone that I think he really needs to give the rub to, so that they, for the rest of time, can say they beat John Cena in his last ever PLE match. That's how you get the most out of this. If this is a War Games match, you have to pick between one of the two. You can't get both. In a traditional Survivor Series match, you can get both. That's why I have it as a traditional Survivor Series match. And let's just be completely honest. One other final thing. Those are the main two things, but the final thing is the War Games matches are boring. We've seen it 3 years in a row. We don't need to see it 4 years in a row. To me, I actually think traditional Survivor Series matches are more fun than War Games matches are. To me, the War Games is like a less exciting version of the Elimination Chamber. You know what I mean? Or like a less exciting version of Hell in a Cell. I honestly think the War Games match is a terrible idea, but I think the traditional Survivor Series match is a fantastic idea. And we've talked enough about that. Let's talk specifically how I would book this match. So, Team Cena, Team Lesnar, you see them all on your screen. The first person I would have eliminated would be The Miz, and I would have Bronson Reed eliminate him. Give Bronson Reed a quick little victory on the card here. Now it's 5 versus 4. And Miz realistically should be the first one to take a pin in this type of match. He should be the first to go. I don't think anyone will have an issue with that. Then I would have Braun Breaker eliminate R-Truth. And now it's 5-on-3. And Truth and Miz are gone. Both Reed and Breaker have gotten a victory now. Miz and Truth are gone, and it's 5-on-3, leaving the 3 biggest stars on Team Cena versus the entire team of Team Lesnar. And now we're really building into the underdog of Team Cena, which is John Cena's whole character, right? Like the underdog, overcoming the odds, overcoming the impossible. Like this is classic John Cena, and it'll already be feeding into that. I would have Sheamus eliminate Bronson Reed, and now it's 4-on-3. Next, I would have Logan Paul eliminate Sheamus, and now it's 4-on-2, and now it really looks bad. It really looks bad for Cena and Punk. But they figure it out, and in the midst of, it can get a little bit crazy at this point. Let's say there's a moment where John Cena and CM Punk double team Braun Breaker outside of the ring. Maybe they do like an attitude adjustment onto the announce table into Punk doing an elbow through the announce table. That might be a little bit hard to pull off because the attitude adjustment would have to not break the table, but then the elbow drop would have to break the table. That's just one idea, but let's just say Cena and Punk take out Braun Breaker without eliminating him, but he's taken out for now. And CM Punk eliminates Logan Paul, which will lead into a future rivalry between them, which will ultimately culminate at WrestleMania, because after Paul is eliminated, he comes back and he does his knockout punch to Punk, which allows Rollins to hit the stomp, and Rollins eliminates Punk. And now it's Cena left on his own to take on Rollins and Lesnar. Cena gets an attitude adjustment off on Rollins, he eliminates Rollins, and now it's Cena Lesnar. And they go back and forth and they wrestle one-on-one for about 5 minutes. And think the ending of WrestlePalooza where Lesnar took Cena and F5'd him like 6 times to get the win. We're going to do the opposite here where Cena gets Lesnar into 6 different attitude adjustments, but instead of pinning him, after the 6th attitude adjustment and Lesnar's unable to get up, Cena locks him in the STF. Brock Lesnar, as the beast he is, even after 6 attitude adjustments and being in the STF, crawls to the ring. Cena breaks the hold to pull him back to the middle, locks in the STF again. Lesnar's in the STF for like 60 seconds and finally taps. Cena taps out Brock Lesnar to eliminate him in the Survivor Series match. John Cena stands up, he stands tall, he stands proud, he raises his arms in victory, he motions to the crowd that he made Lesnar tap out, he can point at Lesnar on the mat, do the tap out sign with his hands, and he can be celebrating. Michael Cole can be going crazy saying, Cena conquered the beast, Cena conquered the beast, Cena made Lesnar tap, Cena made Lesnar tap, which is it'll be the first time ever John Cena has made Lesnar tap. Cena has officially conquered the beast. We all think he's won the match, but we all forgot about Braun Breaker. He comes in the ring. He spears the hell out of John Cena. John Cena gets up one more time, and Braun Breaker spears the hell out of him again. Cover, 1, 2, 3. It's over. Braun Breaker gets the win. Cena conquered the beast and made Lesnar tap and had that incredible moment with his fans. But then he gave the rub to Braun Breaker. And for the rest of time, Braun Breaker can say, I'm the man who pinned John Cena in his final PLE match. I'm the man that beat John Cena in his final PLE match. And that will give Braun Breaker an extremely important rub going forward. And you've just accomplished 2 incredible things in one match. John Cena conquered the beast. Well, you've accomplished a ton of incredible things, actually. Number 1, you set up Punk and Rollins for the end of the year for the world title, with Rollins getting one final screwjob victory over Punk. 2, you've set up a future of Punk versus Paul, which will ultimately happen at WrestleMania. You've had Cena conquer the beast in his final PLE match, tapping Lesnar out, and you have Braun Breaker get the victory over John Cena. So going forward, Braun Breaker can always be the man that pinned John Cena in his last PLE match. Braun Breaker celebrates his win. He walks out of the ring. John Cena stands up. He gets his flowers from the audience. Everyone gives him his applause. People are cheering him. People are chanting, thank you, Cena, thank you, Cena. Cena reflects on this being his last PLE. He leaves the ring. He walks up the ramp. His head is held up high. He's proud of what he did. He knows that he just did something he's never done before in tapping Lesnar out. Yes, he lost the match, but he lost the match to somebody in his prime. That's not a big deal. This is not Cena defeated and broken down. This is John Cena, his head held up high. I did something I've never done before. Yes, I lost the match in the end, but I accomplished something I've wanted to accomplish all my career. And he celebrates. He celebrates up at the top of the ramp. Everyone's going crazy. Dominik Mysterio comes out. He holds up the Intercontinental title in front of John Cena's face. And on a microphone, he actually takes a microphone and says, I want some. I'm here to get some. You and me, Saturday night's main event. Your final chance to become a Grand Slam champion in this company, your final chance to win a title you've never won before and win the Intercontinental Championship. You and me, Saturday night's main event, your final match, Cena versus Dominik Mysterio. What do you say? Cena takes the mic, says, "You're on, kid." There you go. Cena versus Dominik Mysterio at Saturday night's main event. Okay, folks, bear with me a little bit here because this is where things kind of get really fantasy booking. Because first of all, this is Cena does not have a Monday Night Raw appearance between Survivor Series and Saturday night's main event. I talked earlier in the video about how they would need to add that. So the first fantasy of this is being Cena would have to add another date to his tour, which I think is possible, but it likely isn't going to happen, but I think it needs to happen. So that's fantasy number one of this. Fantasy number two of this is you see Edge in the photo, and we're going to get to him, but already there's a lot of discussion to be had, and we're going to have it here. Because this is really how I think the final two appearances of Cena in WWE should go after Survivor Series, and how I booked that Survivor Series match. But firstly, I want to say this. In the Saturday night's main event poster, which is at the beginning of this video, you see John Cena holding the Undisputed Championship. And a lot of people online are already saying, does this mean Cena's going to win the WWE title before Saturday night's main event, or challenge for the WWE title at Saturday night's main event and end his career as WWE champion, or enter his last match as WWE champion? And I think the likelihood of that is extremely low. Extremely low. I think they just put that on the poster because John Cena is the 17-time champ and he has won more WWE titles than anyone in history. That's why I think he's holding the WWE title in that poster. But because it's also a placement poster for now, right? Like the final poster of that Saturday night's main event is going to be him and his opponent, right? So his opponent hasn't been announced yet and likely won't be announced until after Survivor Series or at Survivor Series. So they're not going to have that. So right now, I think that's just a placement poster, and it's a placement because he is the 17th-time champ. I do not think John Cena is winning the WWE title before Saturday night's main event. Not only do I think that's extremely unlikely, I also just think it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea for multiple reasons, but the biggest being he doesn't need to win an 18th championship. He's already won the 17th championship. That's number one. Number two, he kind of pretty much said goodbye to the WWE title at SummerSlam. We don't need to walk back on that and have him say goodbye to it a second time. And thirdly, you never have a wrestler leave the company as your world champion. You just don't do that, and they shouldn't do that for John Cena. So for all those reasons, I do not think he's going to win the WWE title, nor do I think he should win the WWE title. That being said, let's get into my fantasy booking of these last two appearances. So the first fantasy is, again, this. This would be the December 8th version of Raw. So this is the second Raw after Survivor Series. There's two Raws between Survivor Series and Saturday night's main event. Cena is not scheduled for either of them. I have him scheduled for the second one. So I ended Survivor Series with Dominik Mysterio challenging John Cena to the match at Saturday night's main event. Then on the next Raw, I would have it announced that John Cena signed on for one more appearance, and it will be the next week on Raw on December 8th, and where John Cena will wrestle his last match on Monday Night Raw against Finn Balor with Dominik Mysterio in his corner. This is where we're getting into the fantasy talk, and I already have Edge on the picture. So before I start talking about how I would book Edge into this, let me talk about the real-life aspect of Edge very quickly because this video is getting long. There are two conflicting reports going online right now, and I don't know which is the truth, but we'll cover both of them because both of them are important. There are those saying that Edge's AEW contract ends October 2025, and thus Edge is no longer a part of AEW as of October 2025, which means the WWE could sign Edge to appear for Cena's last match. They wouldn't even need to sign him to a full-on contract. They would just need to sign him for guest appearances to be part of Cena's last match, which Edge would, of course, do. If Edge's AEW contract is indeed out, there's no way that they don't bring him in for some capacity for Cena's last match. Now, on the flip side of that, there are those saying that Edge's contract was scheduled to end in October 2025, but due to injury time, both AEW and WWE will add injury time to the end of contract, saying you were injured for, let's say, 4 months of your contract. I don't know what Edge's injury time with AEW was, but apparently he does have some injury time. But let's say it's 4 months. That means we add 4 months of injury time to your contract, meaning your contract now ends in February, not in October, etc., etc. So whatever Edge's injury time would be added to this contract. And they're saying that he does have injury time, but the reason he was written off AEW television is because he's going to film his TV show that he's a part of. And so he's going to be going to film his TV show for a couple months, and then he'll be back in AEW to fulfill his injury time. If that is the case, this becomes a lot more tricky, but not impossible. Tony Khan is not an unreasonable man, and I don't think that Tony Khan would be in complete disagreement if WWE approached him for a temporary talent exchange to allow Edge to be part of John Cena's final retirement, to be part of John Cena's final match in WWE. I don't think Tony Khan would be against it. You would have to make some concessions and you would have to make a deal out of it, but there is a deal to be made there. This is what I would propose to WWE if this is the case, if Edge is indeed still under contract to AEW. I would go to them and I'm like, look, you know the history here. We can't have Cena retire without anything with Edge. Why don't you allow us to bring Edge in for John Cena's final match? And here's what we propose. Edge appears on Raw, which will be advertised as Cena's final Raw, but he will appear unadvertised on that Raw as a cameo, as a surprise appearance, and then he'll appear advertised for the rest of the week on Saturday night's main event. And in exchange, at Saturday night's main event, you can have advertisement time to advertise AEW, which would be something WWE would be against forever, but to make this happen, they would have to do that. And B, we'll send Dominik to AEW after this for 2 appearances to work with Edge. He'll do 1 appearance on AEW TV like Edge did on Raw for us, and then at one of your pay-per-views, Dominik can wrestle Edge, and we'll even let Edge go over in that match. That way, the person you're getting in exchange is part of this whole thing anyways with Dominik Mysterio, right? And for us on our side, we know we're sending someone over to wrestle a guy we know will take care of them. The WWE can't send Dominik Mysterio to go wrestle an AEW guy that they've never worked with or they've never trusted before. But they can send him to go work with Edge and trust that Edge is going to take care of him in the ring and isn't going to do something unprofessional or something stupid to Dominik Mysterio. Edge would never do that in a million years. He would take great care of him. There would be it would just be a regular wrestling match. And the WWE would trust Edge with that. So that would be my proposal. You let us use Edge on Raw and at Saturday night's main event. At Saturday night's main event, you can advertise AEW, and then we'll send Dominik to do 1 TV appearance on the mic with Edge, and he'll wrestle Edge at your next pay-per-view after that. And there you go. That's the deal. I think Tony Khan would agree to it. I think he would. I think the AEW would benefit from this. I think they would look really good would be willing to send Edge to WWE on a temporary basis to be part of Cena's last match. And for both companies, you get a working relationship going forward. We made a deal once, we can make a deal again, and so on and so on. So, all that said, what do I do on this Raw that is John Cena's now last Raw on December 8th? You have it announced the week prior that it'll be John Cena in his last Raw appearance. He signed on for one more appearance, and he's going to take on Finn Balor with Dominik Mysterio, his Saturday Night Main Event opponent, in Finn Balor's corner. This way you have John Cena wrestling a big name on his final Raw, and of course this will be a lead up to Saturday night's main event. John Cena gets the win over Finn Balor on Raw. He gets to celebrate winning one final match on Raw. Him and Dominik are face to face. Cena grabs a mic and says, "Did you really think I was going to retire without my retirement becoming rated R?" And just kind of like, give that hint right away. Did you really think I was going to walk into Saturday night's main event and take on the Judgment Day alone? And then you can have Cena be like, "You challenge me for my final match for your title. I accept, but this is my last match. I make the rules, and I say we have a special guest referee at Saturday night's main event, and our match will be rated R." And then Edge comes out, the music hits, the place goes absolutely nuts. Edge comes out, he comes down to the ring, he spears Dominik Mysterio, he takes off his coat to reveal a referee jersey on, or a referee shirt on, whatever you want to call it. And there you go, Dominik Mysterio versus John Cena at Saturday Night Main Event with Edge as the special guest referee. So this is how I would do John Cena's last match in the company. The Intercontinental title on the line, Dominik Mysterio versus John Cena with Edge as the special guest referee. You can have a backstage segment earlier in the night where Dominik Mysterio approaches Edge and says, "Listen, you have something to gain by me winning this match. Everyone thinks you're here to help John Cena win this match. In reality, you should be here to help me win this match." And Edge can be like, "What are you talking about, kid?" And Dominik Mysterio can say, "Don't you remember? I'm going to AEW to take you on. If I leave tonight as Intercontinental Champion, I'll put this title on the line against you in AEW. Don't you want to be the guy that brings the Intercontinental title from WWE to AEW? Don't you want to be the hero that steals one of WWE's championships from under its nose?" And then you can show that Edge is conflicted. Yeah, I do want to win the Intercontinental title. And there you go. You have added build-up to the match later on that night. And you can have WWE wondering, is Edge going to be fair in this match? Is he going to call this down the middle? Or is he going to screw us over? Just added conflict to an already huge night and an already huge match. Here's how I would do it then. You have the match, and you have moments where Edge is calling it down the middle and he's struggling. Because he has history with both these guys, right? And he knows both of them extremely well, both in real life and in wrestling. But as the match plays on, the story will become, who's Edge going to screw over? Who's he going to screw over? And then there's going to be that moment where both are down and he's ready to spear one and you don't know who he's going to spear. And then of course he spears Dominik. He's not going to spear John Cena. Come on. He's going to spear Dominik Mysterio. It's going to be one of the biggest babyface moments in the history of the company. He's going to spear the crap out of Dominik Mysterio, and then Dominik's going to struggle to get up. Cena's going to throw Dominik into the Attitude Adjustment, deliver one final Attitude Adjustment, and then Cena and Edge are going to face off for a second, and they're going to just smile, and they're going to laugh. And Cena's going to be like, "Let's have fun." And then he's going to hit the 5 moves of doom. All the 5 moves of doom. He's going to hit the shoulder blocks. He's going to hit his inverted suplex. He's going to do one final "you can't see me" 5-knuckle shuffle. He's going to hit an Attitude Adjustment, and then he's going to put Dominik in the STF. Dom taps out. Cena wins the Intercontinental title. Him and Edge hug it out. And then you have all the wrestlers come out, a bunch of wrestlers that are there as guests, but also wrestlers from the company. And I figure you have the following 12. You already have Edge there, so he's 1. You have Rey Mysterio, that's 2. You have Big Show and Kurt Angle as guests, that's 4. Why Big Show? Because he was the first WrestleMania opponent of John Cena, and why Kurt Angle? Because he was the first ever WWE opponent of John Cena. So that's 4. And 4 legends: Edge, Rey, Big Show, and Angle. Then you have 8 current stars come out: Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, CM Punk, AJ Styles, AJ Lee, The Miz, R-Truth, and Sheamus. And those are the 12 that come out. They each come out. They each go in the ring to shake John Cena's hand. Each of them will have the mic for like 10 to 20 seconds to say thank you to John and say one positive thing to John Cena, and then Cena will give each of them a hug, and then they'll all leave the ring for John Cena to make his retirement speech. John Cena takes the mic, and you basically just let him say whatever the hell he wants to say in this moment, and then you have Cena do it. He takes off the jorts. You can have some track pants or something waiting at the side for him so he's not like embarrassed in like a Speedo or some boxers or whatever he's wearing under there. But he takes off the jorts. He gets given one of his hats and one of his shirts. He lays down the jorts in the middle of the ring. He puts his shirts down in front of them. He puts his hat at the top. He lays the Intercontinental title across from them. He celebrates one last time with the audience. He has the ring all to himself. He goes out, he hugs whoever he needs to hug at the side of the ring, and then he walks up the ramp. He's celebrating alone, and then all 12 of those wrestlers come back out again to lift him up on their shoulders. The pyro goes off. There you go. John Cena, the Grand Slam champion and one of the greatest of all time, has said goodbye to his wrestling career. Okay, that being said, I have another video I want to do before Crown Jewel comes out. I want to do a video how I would book Crown Jewel all the way to the final Raw. I've covered all the John Cena booking in this video, but I want to talk about my booking of pretty much everything else from Crown Jewel to the last show of Raw, and basically how I would lead into my WrestleMania fantasy card. Thank you for watching this video. This was a long video, but it is John Cena's retirement, so I think he deserves a longer form discussion on all of it. I hope you enjoyed how I would book John Cena's final appearances. My next video is going to be discussing the booking of Crown Jewel up to the final episode of Raw this year, how I would book the entire company from Crown Jewel to the final episode of Raw. Go on my channel and watch the following videos. There's John Cena's final appearances in less than 6 minutes. Watch that video. There's They Need to Unify the Women's World Titles, which is a long form discussion video like this, where I discuss why they need to unify the Women's World Titles between Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie McCurr. It's a really good quality video. I suggest watching it in its entirety. It's a great discussion, I think, and I think you'll agree that they should unify the titles after watching it. And also, go watch my WrestleMania 42 fantasy card video. I did a WrestleMania 42 fantasy card video in September called WrestleMania 42 18 Matches in 10 Minutes. Go check that out to see what my fantasy card is for WrestleMania 42. I'm Jay Vardy. Thank you so much for watching this video. I am out.